Dead Man's Valley earned its name honestly. The land stretched wide and cruel beneath a sun that offered no mercy. Red rock cliffs, like jagged teeth. Dry riverbeds cracked open like old scars, and silence, so thick it rang in the ears. Even seasoned outlaws avoided it, too exposed to many places to die. Lara knew that. She rode in, anyway. Her horse picked its way carefully through loose stone, as she scanned the horizon. Rifle strapped across her back, revolver heavy at her hip. Sweat slid down her spine beneath her duster-darkened coat. The bounty poster folded in her pocket felt like a promise and a threat all at once. Silas Crow, alive if possible. Dead if necessary. She wasn't the only one hunting him. Lara had known that the moment she saw the track's two sets of hooves, one heavier, one shod with iron shoes, she recognized Gabriel. Her jaw tightened at the thought of him. Gabriel Reyes, the man who always arrived 5 minutes before her, or 5 minutes after, just long enough to steal the prize. He was skilled, infuriatingly calm, and carried himself like the world owed him nothing, and he expected the same in return. They'd crossed paths before. Guns had nearly spoken then. Today might be different. A sudden crack split the air rifle fire. Close. Lara jerked sideways as a bullet chipped stone inches from her head. She rolled from the saddle, hit the ground hard, and drew her revolver in one smooth motion. "Crow," she shouted. "You're surrounded." A laugh echoed from the rocks. "By who, sweetheart?" Another shot rang out. This one came from the opposite ridge. Lara froze. That wasn't Crow's angle. A familiar voice cut through the heat. "Step away from the ledge, Lara. He's trying to pin you down." She cursed under her breath. Of course it was him. Gabriel emerged from behind a boulder across the ravine, rifle raised but not aimed at her. Dust clung to his dark coat, his face shaded by the brim of his hat. His eyes flicked to her, sharp and assessing, just like always. "You following me now?" she called. He smirked faintly. "You wish." Crow fired again, wild this time. The shot spooked Lara's horse, which bolted down the valley, reins snapping loose. "Damn it," she hissed. "Looks like neither of us is riding out easy," Gabriel said. They moved at the same time, instinctively. Unwillingly, in sync, scrambling for cover. As Crow retreated deeper into the valley, the ground suddenly gave way beneath Lara's boots. A hidden sinkhole collapsed, dragging her down in a roar of dust and stone. She screamed once before hitting hard. Pain flared through her shoulder. She tried to move on, couldn't. "Lara!" Gabriel's voice was closer now, sharp with something she didn't expect. Concern. He slid down the embankment beside her, rifle slung, hands already checking her for injuries. "Don't move." "Bossy," she muttered through clenched teeth. "You're pinned," he said. "And if Crow circles back, we're both dead." As if summoned by fate, gunfire erupted above them. Bullets sparked off rock. They were trapped. No horses, no clean escape, and a killer who knew the valley better than either of them. Lara met Gabriel's gaze, heat and dust between them. "Looks like we survived together," she said. "Or not at all." Gabriel nodded once, jaw set. Temporary truce. In Dead Man's Valley, trust was more dangerous than bullets, and they had no choice but to gamble on both. The gunfire above them faded into uneasy silence, broken only by the whistle of wind sliding through Dead Man's Valley. Lara lay still, pinned beneath a slab of rock that crushed her coat into the dirt. Her shoulder throbbed, pain pulsing in time with her heartbeat. She hated that Gabriel had been right, hated more that she needed him. "You still breathing?" he asked quietly. "Unfortunately," she replied. "Get this thing off me." Gabriel braced his boots against the slope and shoved the rock with a grunt. It shifted just enough for Lara to wriggle free, biting back a cry as pain flared through her arm. Gabriel caught her before she slipped, one arm steady around her waist. For a moment, neither moved. They were close to close. Lara could smell gun oil and dust on him, see the faint scar along his jaw she'd never noticed before. She pulled away first, pushing herself upright. "Thanks," she said stiffly. "Don't get sentimental," he replied. Crows still out there. As if on cue, loose gravel skittered from above. Gabriel stiffened. He grabbed Lara's arm and pulled her deeper into the shadow of the sinkhole, just as Silas Crow's boots appeared at the edge. "Thought I heard something," Crow called. His voice carried a lazy cruelty. "Come on out. I don't mind killing you. Slow." Lara's fingers tightened around her revolver. One bad move, and they were done. Gabriel leaned close, his breath warm against her ear. "2 shots left in my rifle. You 4, she whispered. "Good. We make them count." Crow tossed a stick of dynamite into the sinkhole. "Move," Gabriel shouted. They dove, as the blast thundered through the valley. Dirt and rock rained down, the shockwave knocking the air from Lara's lungs. When the dust settled, the path back up was gone-collapsed completely. Crow laughed above them. "Enjoy your grave." His footsteps retreated. Lara slammed her fist into the dirt. "He sealed us in." Gabriel scanned the damage, eyes calculating. "Not completely. There's a narrow pass south, but it's a long walk. No water. And my horse is gone," Lara said bitterly. "Mine too," Gabriel replied. Silence stretched between them, heavy with shared loss and unspoken blame. They started moving, slow and careful. Lara favored her injured shoulder, refusing to let Gabriel help more than necessary. Pride was a hard thing to kill, especially between rivals. After an hour, the heat grew brutal. The canyon walls closed in, trapping the sun overhead. Lara's steps faltered. "You're hurt worse than you're letting on," Gabriel said. "Mind your business." He stopped walking. "If you collapse, I won't carry you." "Good," she snapped. "Because I won't ask." He studied her for a long moment, then reached into his pack and handed her his water flask. "Drink." She hesitated. Trust didn't come easy in this line of work. Still, her throat burned like fire. She took a small sip and passed it back. "Temporary truce," she reminded him. "Still stands," he said. Until crows dealt with. They made camp as the sun dipped low, the valley cooling but growing more dangerous in the dark. Coyotes howled in the distance. Lara cleaned her revolver while Gabriel checked the perimeter. The firelight flickered across his face, softer than she expected. "Why do you do this?" she asked suddenly. "Hunt bounties," he replied. "Pays well." "That's not an answer." He exhaled slowly. "Because I don't belong anywhere else." Lara looked down at her hands. She understood that more than she wanted to admit. As night settled over Dead Man's Valley, 2 rivals sat back to back, guarding each other's blind spots. The truce was fragile, but it was real, and something far more dangerous than bullets was beginning to form between them. Lara woke before dawn, hand already on her revolver. The fire had burned down 2 glowing embers, casting weak light across the canyon floor. For a split second, panic gripped her until she heard slow, steady breathing behind her. Gabriel. He sat with his back to hers, hat pulled low, rifle across his knees. He hadn't slept. "You always this paranoid?" he asked quietly, without turning. "Only when I'm alive," she said. They moved out, as the sky bled pale orange over the rocks. The valley looked different in the early light, less threatening, but more exposed. Tracks crisscrossed the dust. Crow's men. Gabriel crouched, studying the ground. 3 riders passed through late last night. "Looking for us?" Lara asked. "Or heading to meet Crow," he said. "Either way, we're walking into trouble." Her shoulder screamed with every step now, the stiffness turning sharp. She clenched her jaw and kept moving. Stopping meant weakness, and weakness got you killed. Gabriel noticed anyway. He reached out, steadying her when she stumbled. This time, she didn't pull away. "Don't," she said softly. "Don't treat me like I'm fragile." "I'm not," he replied. "I'm treating you like someone I don't want dead." That stopped her cold. They continued in silence until the canyon narrowed into a twisting pass. Wind howled through it, carrying the smell of gunsmoke. They weren't alone. A shot cracked from above. Gabriel shoved Lara into cover as bullets rained down. They fired back in sharp, controlled bursts. One man fell from the ridge, screaming until the rocks swallowed him. Another tried to flank them. Lara moved without thinking, climbing fast, despite the pain. Coming up behind the shooter, she pressed her revolver to his back. "Drop it." He spun instead. The gun went off. Gabriel tackled Lara just as the bullet grazed her coat. He fired once. The man dropped. They lay there for a heartbeat, tangled, breathing hard. "You all right?" Gabriel asked. "Still breathing," she said, then hissed as pain flared. Blood seeped through her sleeve. His expression darkened. "You're bleeding." "It's nothing. Sit," he ordered. She should have argued. Instead, she sat. Gabriel tore fabric from his shirt and wrapped her shoulder with careful hands. His touch was steady, gentle, in a way that surprised her. "You could have let me take that shot," she said quietly. He met her eyes. Not a chance. Something shifted, then something dangerous and undeniable. They moved again, slower now. By afternoon, they spotted smoke rising ahead. Crow's camp, nestled between two cliffs, guarded but careless. Lara studied it through her scope. "He thinks we're dead." "Good," Gabriel said. "We use that." They planned in whispers, close enough that their shoulders brushed. Lara became painfully aware of every small contact, every look held too long. Night fell fast. They moved like shadows, taking down guards one by one. When they reached Crow's tent, voices erupted behind them. Too late. Gunfire exploded. Chaos followed. Crow ran. Lara chased him without thinking, pain forgotten, heart pounding. She cornered him near a dead tree, gun raised. "You cost me a lot of money," he sneered. "And you cost innocent lives," she shot back. Before she could pull the trigger, Crow lunged. The gun flew from her hand. A shot rang out. Crow collapsed, a dark bloom spreading across his chest. Gabriel stood behind him, gun smoking. Lara stared at him, chest heaving. "You didn't have to." "I know," he said. "But I wanted to." The valley fell silent. They stood there, two bounty hunters, no longer pretending this was just business. Dead Man's Valley had stripped them down to truth, and neither of them was ready to face what they'd found. They buried Silas Crow at dawn. Not deep, not proper. Dead Man's Valley didn't care for ceremony, and neither of them believed Crow deserved it. They took his papers, his satchel of coin, and the proof needed to claim the bounty. Everything else they left for the vultures. As they stood over the shallow grave, Lara expected relief. Instead, she felt hollow. "Once we're out of the valley," Gabriel said, "we'll have to decide who turns him in." She glanced at him. "You planning to fight me for it?" "No," he said. "I'm planning to walk away." It startled her more than any gunshot. "You'd give it up I've taken enough," he replied. "You earned this one." Lara studied his face, searching for the trick. There wasn't one. They started north, following a dried riverbed that promised an exit by sunset. The valley seemed quieter now, as if satisfied with the blood it had taken. Halfway through the day, Lara's strength gave out. She collapsed to one knee, vision blurring. Gabriel caught her before she hit the ground. "That's it," he said. "We're stopping." "I don't need." "Yes, you do." He helped her sit against the rock and forced more water into her hands. The wound had reopened, the bandage soaked through. "You should have let me stitch this last night," he muttered. "You're not a doctor." "No," he said. "But I've patched enough holes in myself to know what I'm doing." She'll let him work. The pain made her grip his coat, fingers digging in. He didn't pull away. When it was done, she sagged back, exhausted. "You're stubborn," he said. "So are you." A pause settled between them, the kind filled with things left unsaid. "You know," Lara said quietly, "I used to think you were my biggest problem." "And now?" he asked. She met his gaze. "Now I think you're the only reason I'm still alive." The words hung between them, raw and dangerous. Gabriel exhaled slowly. "Lara, when we get out of this valley, things don't get simpler." "I know." "Rivals don't just stop being rivals." She reached for his hand before she could stop herself. "Maybe they can choose to be something else." His fingers tightened around hers, rough and warm for a heartbeat. The world narrowed to just them. The wind, the sun, the quiet certainty of survival. Then, gunfire shattered the moment. A remaining outlaw, wounded but desperate, emerged from the rocks, firing wildly. Gabriel shoved Lara aside and returned fire. The man fell, but not before a bullet grazed Gabriel's side. "Damn it," Lara said, grabbing him. "You're hit." "Just a scratch," he lied. She pressed hard against the wound, anger and fear mixing sharp in her chest. "You don't get to die after everything we survived." He gave a weak smile that sounded like concern. "Shut up." They moved again, slower now, leaning on each other, to hunters bound by necessity than by choice. By sunset, they reached the valley's edge. Grass replaced stone. The air smelled alive again. Lara stopped walking. "This is where it ends," she said. "For the valley," Gabriel replied. "Not for us." She looked at him, really looked, and realized the truth scared her more than any gunfight. Because walking away now would be easy. Staying would change everything. The town of Red Hollow appeared just after sunrise. Low buildings rising from the dust, like a promise of rest and reckoning. Lara slowed her steps as they crossed the boundary between wilderness and civilization. Her shoulders still ached, but the pain no longer felt like a threat, just a reminder. Gabriel walked beside her, quiet, his hand never far from his gun. At the sheriff's office, Lara laid Crow's papers on the desk. Proof enough. The sheriff barely looked at Gabriel. Lara nodded. "That's right." Outside, the weight of the valley finally lifted. Coins clinked heavy in Lara's pouch, but the reward felt smaller than she'd imagined. "You don't regret it?" Gabriel asked. "No," she said. "Do you?" He shook his head. "I've been chasing bounties so long, I forgot what I was running from." They stood there, the morning alive with sound horses, voices, life moving forward. "What happens now?" Lara asked. Gabriel smiled, slow and genuine. "I was thinking, we stop competing." "Partners?" she asked. "Equals," he corrected. She considered it. 2 guns, 2 pasts. 1 road forward. Lara extended her hand. Gabriel took it, firm and steady. This time, there was no hesitation. They left Red Hollow together, riding side by side as the land opened wide before them. Dead Man's Valley faded behind them, but what it had forged stayed. Trust, respect, and something deeper neither of them dared name. As the sun climbed higher, Lara glanced at Gabriel. "Next bounty." He laughed. "Let's pick one that doesn't try to kill us." "No promises," she said, smiling. They rode on, not rivals anymore, but something far rarer in the West. A choice, a future. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Western stories.